right, good afternoon and welcome into our Sports Talk at the Stadium, brought to you by the South Carolina Beef Council. We are live here outside Razorback Stadium, or in the stadium, but outside on a hot afternoon here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's a beautiful day. Temperatures in the mid 80s, and the Arkansas fans, they left very happy as their team just beat up the Gamecocks 44-30 this afternoon in the SEC opener for both teams. Very physical ball game, something that Shane Beamer knew going in was going to be the case. And he felt like his team kept up with Arkansas from a physicality standpoint and kind of matched them blow for blow. But the Gamecocks had some unfortunate turnovers, and they never really could early in the ball game get a handle on Arkansas's offense. Beer can flying around here. Never could get a handle on Arkansas's offense. Arkansas scored touchdowns on their first three possessions to go up 21-3. And the Gamecocks could have folded their tents and just go home and take their beating, but they did fight back. In fact, they were down 21-16 and had the football. Believe it or not, the Gamecocks had a chance to take the lead, but they ended up punting on that drive, and Arkansas scored. And then on the next drive, Marshawn Lloyd fumbled after reception. Arkansas scored again, and that really put the game away. The Gamecocks did manage to come back and score a couple of more touchdowns, but also Arkansas added a touchdown after recovering an onside kick, and they added a fumble. So the game was never really in doubt at that point. So, Gamecock tackling was not good today. They hit the quarterback a good bit, KJ Jefferson, but getting him on the ground and getting him in a sack was a whole nother thing. He is very, very tough to bring down, very much like a Cam Newton was at Auburn. And then the running backs, especially Rocket Sanders, he is special. He is fast. He is physical, and he runs behind a huge offensive line that does a great job of just coming off the line and mashing the defensive front. And the Gamecocks really could not counter that. So Zach Pickens did have 12 tackles today, which is a good thing. Nick Amawuri, the true freshman safety, had 11 tackles. That's maybe not such a great thing with your safety making 11 tackles, though he was coming up and making a bunch of tackles on the run. So, the Gamecocks defensively just could not slow down Arkansas early on, and Arkansas did what they wanted to do offensively. The Gamecocks offensively, you would say they had a good enough day offensively to win a ball game, 411 yards. Spencer Rattler passed for 371 yards. They scored 30 points. But they didn't run the ball at all. Only 40 yards rushing for the Gamecocks, and Beamer vows to fix that. He still believes that they can run the ball. He still believes they have a good enough offensive line to run the football, and that's something they've got to get fixed. They have not run the ball well at all in their first two games. The Gamecocks ran 67 plays and averaged over 6 yards a play, but Arkansas ran 86 plays and averaged 5 yards a play. The Gamecocks did have some explosion in their offense. Rattler's average completion was 16 yards. His favorite target was Juice Wells. He had 8 catches for 165 yards and a touchdown. Rattler himself was 22 of 38, 371 yards, and he had the one touchdown pass. But he also had not that they were going to come back and rally, but it would have looked nice for the Gamecocks. They were in scoring range, and he threw an interception in the end zone where defender made a nice play on the ball. It was really maybe the best pocket that Rattler had all day, and maybe he was seeing ghosts because he didn't have anybody in his face. He didn't have to run around. He stood in the pocket, but he kind of underthrew it, I think, and defender got between him and the receiver and got the interception. So that was a mistake on his part. So it was a tough day injury-wise for the Gamecocks, especially on the defense. They came in without their starting safety in Roderick. They also didn't have a nickel in David Spalding. So they were already down those two. And then during the ball game, they lose Mo Kaba and they lose Jordan Strawn. And after the game, Shane Beamer said those two could be kind of serious, is how he put it. They'll know more later in the week, but he didn't feel real good about those two. Alex Huntley got hurt during the game. He came out for a little while, went into the medical tent, and played with a brace, that elastic wrap brace on his knee. But he went on to play the rest of the way and did not seem to be showing any issues related to that. So tough day. And Cam Smith got hurt as well, and he missed much of the second half. And so, but but Beamer said he should be okay. It was an upper body injury there, but he thinks he'll be okay. So tough day physically for the Gamecocks in terms of dealing with injuries. And boy, you hate to lose two starters like Kaba and Strawn. They were playing without a lot of starters. When you take those two and you take out Cam Smith, you take out Roderick, Spalding plays a lot for them. And then they missed Huntley for a while. They were really without some players. Their depth got really tested today. But they've got to tackle better. That was one thing about the defense. They just, especially early on, they could not get Arkansas wrapped up. They knew they had to gang tackle, and that was their philosophy coming in. But even then, they had trouble getting them down. If you go back and watch the video of this game, look how many times an Arkansas player got yards after contact. I'll be interested if that information becomes public, how many broken tackles Arkansas had and how many yards after contact their ball carriers got today. It's got to be a ton. So that's something South Carolina has got to improve on. So, so the negative, the injuries, the poor tackling, not getting the ball carrier on the ground right away. That's probably the biggest negative. The positives is that they continued to play right to the end. At one point, they put themselves in position to take the lead. Rattler was in a losing effort, pretty spectacular throwing the football. He did miss some open receivers from time to time, but he hit the deep ball big, and that's something they can build on in their offense. I mean, future defenses have got to respect South Carolina's deep throwing ability, and maybe that will help them in the running game, but you have to commit to the running game. And they came into this game not committed to the running game. They were going to attack Arkansas deep because Arkansas was missing their two starting safeties. But Rattler had a lot of pressure on him in the first half. They didn't do a good job of protecting him, and they really didn't strike offensively until the second half is when they hit some balls deep down the field for the most part. So the Gamecocks lose it here 44-30. We'll have comments from Beamer and some players up on the website here shortly, sportstalksc.com. And then Beamer will have his Sunday night conference call at 7:15 tomorrow night, and we'll have that covered on Twitter and on the website as well. And then, of course, we'll talk all about it with you and Chris and Smitty and Pat Monday night on Sports Talk. Again, our coverage, Sports Talk at the Stadium from Razorback Stadium, brought to you by the South Carolina Beef Council. Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your weekend.